Greetings, denizens of the tri-state area. Jacob Weil here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Dragon, I know what we're going to do today. We're going to activate the Recap-inator and discuss my favorite cartoon, Phineas and Ferb. That's right. In honor of the 15th anniversary and in preparation for the upcoming revival, I'm guiding Blue Dragon 5 here throughout the series, experiencing his reactions, watching it for the first time, and reliving my summer memories throughout the years. Tonight's episodes are A Hard Day's Night and I, Brobot. Alright, so Dragon, you can probably explain this better than I can, so tell the folks why we're doing this on a Wednesday instead of a Friday, our usual Friday.
Well, it's a sordid story, folks. We were initially going to do something special on Thursday, which kind of rearranged things, but then we had some technical issues, so it's a little frivolous, but yeah, so ordinarily we go on Fridays, but again, today we were moving it for a good reason that kind of petered out, so we're kind of stuck with. We didn't want to, jostle you folks around, which, well, may or may not have been the case given our current live performance, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see if people got kind of our advance warning or not. So, yeah.
But keep in mind, we will return to our usual Friday time slot.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned, today's first episode is A Hard Day's Night. So, Dragon, how you coming down on this one?
Well, it's I think I enjoyed it more on the rewatch. It's it's kind of a stock episode, but obviously the Doofenshmirtz plot is very, very funny, as they tend to be. It's just more of like hey, cool landscape, not a lot of meat into our main Phineas for kind of episode. There were some missed opportunities, but it was fine, fun to rewatch, and had great voice talent in it.
And it did. It's like he specifically wanted me to change the image we initially had in mind because of that. So.
Yeah, because I realized, you know what? I kind of wanted to highlight the latter. You know what? We have really, like top shelf voice talent in this one. It'd be kind of a shame if they went with the robot episode. It's like,
like, yep, it's like, as Dragon mentioned, this episode has some very top tier British talent in this episode. Like, there's obviously the introduction of
kind of weird.
There's the introduction of Grandpa Fletcher, Reginald Fletcher, voiced by legendary actor Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, Winifred Fletcher. Guy.
You've met Malcolm McDowell?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. His wife Winifred is voiced. His wife Winifred's voiced by Jane Eyre. Additionally, Tim Curry plays the butler. And British entertainer Dominic Wood plays Charles. So as you can see, you have Malcolm McDowell and Tim Curry in the same episode.
Tim Curry in a dual role.
Yes. It's pretty. And this isn't his first appearance in the show. This is his first appearance, but it's not his only appearance in the show either. He does appear in one episode down the line too, and you can probably say it's more substantial down the line, more substantial too.
I suspect this is before Tim Curry's retirement.
Obviously.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been rewatching Dinosaurs, the show, and I'm in the later seasons of Dinosaur, which includes Tim Curry providing some voices for some dinosaurs.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of serendipitous that I'm watching that and like, oh, good old Tim Curry, and oh my goodness, there's Tim Curry.
I didn't even know he was in Dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of voice. They got a lot of voice talent. I mean, Jason Alexander does a number of characters, and then again, I don't know if it's just the fourth season. Let's say the third and the fourth season. That's when Tim Curry kind of starts to drop in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, as for the behind the scenes stuff, Martin Olson, Bobby Gale are responsible for the story.
Marty.
Yes. And like I said, they did a lot for the first season. Heck, Martin Olson is the story editor for the first season, so the storyboards were provided by John Colton Barry and Mike Roth, and good old Dan Pavmeyer directed the episode.
Pavi.
Yes, he directed a lot of the first season. His directing status kind of like dwindles as the seasons go on. But he did direct a lot of the first season, so there's that. And I guess we should get into the episode then. So they begin on their trip to England, which begins with a pretty funny visual gag.
Yeah, this is a really funny visual gag. So, so we're returning to Lawrence's home country. We're going to jolly old England.
Yep, and he's like sees all the famous landmarks, like Big Ben, the White Cliffs of Dover.
Yep, the giant Ferris wheel, Buckingham Palace, Stonehenge.
And it's like either I've grown in the last year or England's gotten smaller.
Just seeing literally all these landmarks in like almost like a miniature golf course of a spacing is just really funny.
Which is just kind of funny how like that's how like a lot of like places only use those places to highlight, hey, we're in England.
Plus, England's all about kind of minimization anyway, because they're all like all the tiny portions and stuff. So yeah,
Like as I mentioned, and I told you, like Jeff Swampy Morris actually spent some time in Britain, so actually
yeah,
spent several years living in Britain, so he probably will know all about that.
a regular Ted Lasso. What do you know?
Yep, and he actually Swampy actually provided the voice of the English newsman in this episode.
Oh,
Yep, that was Swampy.
does
Yeah.
he have an English accent from being over there for so long?
No, he doesn't. No, he speaks in it. Well, remember, he also voices Major Monogram,
Oh, right. Never mind then. Never mind.
which is frankly more of a Walter Cronkite impression.
Well, then again, he could just be doing. Well, that's the question. Which is the impression, the English accent or Monogram?
Well, yeah, but the Monogram voice is closer to his actual voice. He doesn't have a British accent, but he spent so long over there, he can imitate it quite well.
Hey, Jacob,
Yes.
can I ask you random pointless facts?
Yeah.
Well, questions looking for factual answers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, you can.
Does Swampy have a mustache?
Depends on when you're asking.
Is he known for having does he often have a mustache? Does he currently have a mustache?
He has more like a kind of like a beard.
Oh.
Kind of like like I think he basically has the beard without the mustache.
Okay. Wait, really? What?
Yeah, the image that I'm seeing of him right now, with the show during production, he did not actually have a mustache, just a beard.
Okay.
Like damn though, he's like he has like the full thing going on a lot of the time.
Hey, Jacob.
Yeah,
we have a comment.
We have a comment, and
it's Haley's comment,
and it's our regular LED.
Yeah.
Of course, Dan uses knowledge to make sure that this is the most accurate episode possible, including how close the British landmarks are.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's just his comment. I'm not a whiz in geography, but I mean, that's how it works.
Yep. So
let's meet some old people, Jacob.
I mean, I really do want to go to Britain, though. I've always wanted to go to Great Britain, but yes, meeting the grandparents.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. We've met Linda's parents, and now we're meeting Lawrence's parents, and of course, wonderfully voiced by Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell and Jane Carr.
Yeah.
Like of course, I said, like I keep mentioning before, this show does have some impressive pedigree behind it when it comes to the voice talent.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest something for the folks out there, especially the young bucks out there, in case you haven't seen it. Because I'm not just trying to name drop here, because just so just serendipitously, hey, very recently, let's say October recently, I met Malcolm McDowell, and I was gushing to him about his performance in Time After Time. Time After Time.
Oh, cool.
And folks, check out Time After Time. It's an amazing movie that hardly anyone talks about. It's between him and David Warner. David Warner is Jack the Ripper escaping in a time machine, and H.G. Wells, who built said time machine before he wrote the book about it, is pursuing him and stopping him.
Who played? Who did Malcolm McDowell play?
Oddly, the hero. He was H.G. Wells.
Well, you know.
As I think a rare heroic performance for him, and
And
yes,
especially considering what his most famous role is.
absolutely.
I mean, basically, what you guys should not see until you're older is A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. But time after time, though, despite having Jack the Ripper doing horrible things, it's a delightful time.
Yes, not so much A Clockwork Orange.
It's got great fish out of water stuff. Just H.G. Wells being a proper kind of English gentleman from from way back, just like in 1979, just kind of going around like, oh, look at this.
Well, I mean, this show does have time travel in it, so there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, unfortunately, we never see Grandpa Ridge time travel.
Do we ever see him again?
Yes, he does make several more appearances.
Oh, goody! That's wonderful.
I mean, I can't say anything as major as this. I mean, there's like at least one or two more episodes where he's like a major player, but a lot of them, next few times, they're just like small little snippets here and there.
No. So, we have this gag that kind of bugs me that we never pay it off because it feels a lot like a setup.
Yeah.
The grandmother, she gives Ferb this mustache and bald cap because he looks so similar to Grandpa Fletcher.
Yes, his name's Reginald. His name's Reginald, or just
Reginald. Give him the Reginald Fletcher here, and he's it's just the fact that he's. It's like, okay, you think this is going to be a setup for, okay, Ferb's going to impersonate him or at least look like him later in the episode, and that does not happen because you say, oh, I've got a whole bunch of them. And so, I don't know, it just feels a little like it's an odd setup. I mean, it's funny, but it's just kind of like an odd thing. It felt suspiciously like a setup and payoff sort of deal.
I said, I'm not sure if that was intended that way, but I can totally see, considering the show's style of humor, where it would be seen as one. But I think it was just more like a funny visual gag. That, hey, look, these two look the same. I mean, look at them. They look. It's like, he just looks like an older, grayer Ferb. except he doesn't have. Except his eyes aren't.
Yeah, it's one for one. Yeah.
Except his eyes aren't as bulbous. And also, we don't know what color Reginald's hair was when he was younger.
Bulgy. Yeah.
What was that? Yeah.
Uneven and bulgy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, plus, we also don't know if Reginald's hair was green when he was younger. I mean, Lawrence's hair is brown, so who knows?
For all we know, could have been green.
Yes.
The heck is Ferb's hair green? Do you ever see like he dyes it or something?
No, it's just always been green. It's just always green, even when he was younger. So. It's never really explained why his hair is green. I mean, it's basically the same reason why Perry is colored teal. If you catch my drift.
Right. No, I got you.
I mean, but funny thing is, the Fletchers live right next to a castle, and they used to belong.
That's true. Yes.
Used to belong to the mysterious Black Knight of. And of course, there's a song to accompany it. But apparently, the song is titled "The Ballad of the Black Knight," and basically it sounds like a medieval dirge, but it's also in the style of a madrigal. I think that's what the style of music is called. And it's actually, who do you know who performed it? Swampy.
Who did?
Swampy did. That was Swampy singing. And Bobby Gaylor, Swampy, Martin, and Dan wrote the song, too. And of course, that leads to a funny visual gag. Like, here we see the Black Knight and riding off with his hounds of heck to face the dragon. And over here is the disastrous result, where he's being roasted on a spit.
The armor made out of dog food cans.
It's like his hound's effect chased after him through all the moors and lands because his suit of armor was recycled dog food cans. which is a pretty good reason for dogs to follow him. Plus, it gets a bit of a payoff later on.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that inspires Phineas to have a medieval tournament.
Okay, and this is where we hit the point in the episode that I kind of I think we're kind of spinning our wheels a little bit here. Just like, okay, Renaissance fair, medieval knights sort of stuff, which is like, I don't know if we necessarily needed like a tournament. It just feels like we want to do medieval stuff, so we kind of can't like, what were they even competing over, really?
I think they're just doing it for fun.
That's what I'm saying. It just felt like, I don't know,
I,
it's like, it's not really
I,
a.
I mean, the thing later on that Phineas says in the next in a future episode is like, we don't do it to compete. We do it for fun.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's a different context. And sometimes these things are competitions, but most of the time it's just driven for a sense of they want to do it and they want to have some fun doing it. So there's that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Of course, we have a lot of hype around the Black Knight, in which we have. Do you think the impression is that Reginald is doing the singing? Because I always said it's not Malcolm McDowell singing, or is it just like random music just kind of playing?
I know. I just always thought it as random music.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
So we set up the dragon, we set up the armor, and we set up the whole deal with the Black Knight's cool. That's all we set up here.
yeah, although obviously the setup pays off a lot differently than the song, as we noticed.
Oh yeah. Oh for sure.
Like I just like over here's the disaster. So it's like oh, was he triumphant? Oh no, he wasn't triumphant. They built another statue that's here. It's like yeah, and over here here he is being riding off, and here he is being killed.
Okay, so we have Charles Pipping the Fourth. Now this part really bothered me. I gotta be honest. So Candace unfaithful to Jeremy. I don't care for that. I think it was unflattering on her character.
It's like well, to be fair, she and Jeremy aren't actually dating yet.
I know, but it's like, what if Helga just completely changed gears from Arnold? It's like where's the loyalty?
I don't know, Dragon. I mean, to be fair, he does kind of look like Jeremy, like a British.
I know that's what makes it even worse. It's like she's just trading for she's trading up for the English version.
Well, you could say she has a type then.
Anyway, I don't know. It feels like she was going for like a tawdry fling of kind of like affection chasing this go around.
Yeah, I'm not trying to justify it, Dragon. I'm just saying.
All right, anyways, well, point being that this episode did not reflect well on Candace. I'm just going to say that for the record.
Well, you know how I said that that Reginald and Winifred appear again?
Yeah.
Charles never appears again.
I wonder why.
British guy can never beat the best slushy dog cook.
Well, there you go.
Yep, he never see him again.
Like screw all those Hallmark, dude. Screw all those Hallmark movies they're doing these days. About it's always they're doing like the average Joe girl meeting like the prince, and we keep doing those stories. Like no,
it's like nope. She just. I mean, and heck, he's British, so how can you? He's British, so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Now let's talk about the best part about this Pipping kid.
The butler.
The butler. The butler did it for me this episode, Jacob. Like always, the butler did it.
Yeah, like it's my serve. Oh dear, I have punned.
God, that's my favorite line of the episode. Oh dear, I have punned.
It's a great.
Just God bless Tim Curry. I hope I wish nothing but good things for that man. He's just so wonderful.
I do. As I mentioned, Dan and Swampy were big fans of Rocky Horror. So.
Of course, they had to. He's given I didn't compute in my brain, Jacob, that this would have been at a time when Tim Curry was still active. So that's why I was really surprised to hear him in the show. But it makes sense, especially with the Rocky Horror fans. You gotta get Tim Curry, especially if it's voiceover work. You gotta at least once, and we did it twice in one episode. That's even better.
Like I said, he does at least make one more appearance in like season 3.
Yeah, it keeps getting better. Keeps coming up Millhouse for old Curry.
Yep.
Someone's currying favor. Okay.
Like I said, unfortunately, I don't think they ever got the one who played Janet again in Rocky Horror.
I don't know. I'm not really all that familiar.
Because I don't think they got her, but they did get Barry Bostwick too. So obviously, who funnily enough voiced with Grandpa Flynn. So okay, Rocky Horror. He was in Sarandon, so I don't think they ever got
Sarandon.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't think they got her for. I don't think she was ever in this.
Okay.
But they got they got Barry Bostwick, they got Tim Curry, and they got the guy who created the dang thing.
Yep.
which is a pretty good sell.
All right, Jacob. Let's forget all this knight stuff. Let's forget all the medievalness of it all. We got to go to a con, man. We got to go not just any con. We got to go to evil con.
Yep. It's like Perry, what Perry does is he enters his lair, and it's a very, very tight squeeze. Like, sorry, HP, they're on the metric system.
Well, that's a good joke.
It's like it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's just funny.
Yeah.
And Perry, in order to infiltrate this evil con, which is over in Great Britain, so Dragon, answer me this: is EvilCon like any other conventions you've ever been to?
I mean, we didn't really explore the floor all that much, but honestly, just taking a glance at it, looking around, I mean, it's pretty accurate. I mean, I imagine more San Diego would have like the giant evil, the giant evil weapons expo area, but conventions aren't. Again, see, the thing is, at San Diego Comic-Con, they have a bunch of display stuff and like all sorts of like really cool, like kind of like built up kind of like displays that people would visit, and they do like sometimes they do like promotional stuff, like when like for example when Green Lantern came out back in the day, they had a display at San Diego Comic Con of like Abin Sur's dead body, and like when Thor came out, they had the I think it was probably the same year actually, when they were promoting Thor, you could sit on Odin's throne, so they built like a mock-up of the throne. You have like the car section, you have like the Black Beauty, so that's what I'm saying. That's like what's like 2011
Nice.
already. So anyway, so that's the kind of stuff they would. So the idea of an Evil Weapons Expo is, it seems like they're going for San Diego Comic Con only over the pond. So yeah.
I mean, I've only been to one convention, so I can't really say if like anything's like that. But would you go to two? Go on, sorry. You've been to two?
Well, I haven't been to two total. I mean, I've been to two different types of cons so far. I've been to the Comic Con. I've been to the Monster Mania, which essentially is a horror con.
Oh, nice. I said I've only been to the Galaxy Con that came to Columbus at the end of December, or at the end of the year. So
I wish I could go to Galaxy Con.
Well, there's one in North Carolina too. So. And funnily enough, there's an upcoming Galaxy Con
anime. But okay.
There's an upcoming anime Galaxy Con, which we'll actually have the voice of Phineas there. So I'm going to try and get to that. But as I was saying, like, would you go to Galaxy? Would you go to EvilCon? If you have the opportunity.
I mean, I'm tempted. I mean, if I had the opportunity, if I had the opportunity, I knew it wasn't going to die, then yes.
I mean, look, all the evil gadgets there.
That's what I'm saying. Because of all the gadgets, I would be very inclined to go. Frankly, yes.
Just avoid all the death rays.
That's what I'm saying. If I could avoid the death, like the death-related ones. Honestly, if they had the mundane evil gadget section, I would be so all over that. Plus, I might pick up some mad scientist autobiographies too.
Yeah, speaking of which, in order to infiltrate the con, that's what Perry disguises himself as. He disguises himself as one of the
Dr. Lloyd Wexler.
Yes, who apparently Doofenshmirtz is a big fan of.
So real quick, okay, when I heard the guy's last name, I heard like Dr. Lloyd Wexler. I was thinking, that's why we don't see Kim Wexler's father. He was evil.
I don't know who Kim Wexler is.
Better Call Saul. She's Ray Seahorn in Better Call Saul.
Oh, all right.
Anyway, well, it's like when I think Wexler, that is like, that's the Wexler I think of.
Like the name to me sounds very similar to Wexner, who is a big name around Columbus. Like for some reason, I'm reasonably upset when Doof wasn't able to meet his idol when I first watched this.
Yeah, so I kind of concur with that. So one, it is just beyond priceless, just the animation on Doofenshmirtz kind of fangirling out on.
He's like, wait, I know you. You're Dr. Lloyd Wexler.
So I love that. And I love that like, as he's like, "Oh, do you think we could walk around and hang out?" And there's hanging out. He's wearing like the hat and everything that says "I love evil" on it, which is just I Jacob. I was so I gotta be honest. A part of me really wanted a bunch of Doofenshmirtz shots for this, but I figured like, nah, it's not really related to the thing. We probably I don't know.
Don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to use Doofenshmirtz as the thumbnail.
As I'm saying, Doofenshmirtz is my kryptonite with this show. It's like I want the old. It's like the Krusty Krab segments of SpongeBob. I want the old Doofenshmirtz kind of show at this point.
I mean, it's kind of funny that for a time, Disney XD's YouTube channel actually uploaded things called Perry Sodes, which is basically just the Doofenshmirtz and Perry stuff.
Yeah, that figures.
It's like for a time they actually did do those.
So just the fact that Doofenshmirtz has this fantasy of like, oh, it's your autobiography. I've always wanted to hear you read it, and he pulls out like this teddy bear as if he wants him to read him a bedtime story.
and he's like, and Perry's actually a very good lip sync artist.
I know that's the thing. I love that Perry's like really sweating because oh god, the platypus can't talk. What is he gonna do? And then of course he has like this tape like an old school, not even old school tape recorder, like an old school like the stereo boombox thing you use to put a CD in. These guys.
and he starts reading it
in the voice of Tim Curry.
Yep.
Which I was dying laughing with. Oh my god, this is perfect. Yes.
And then the unfortunate thing happens in which it starts to skip. Like the CD starts to skip,
and he even falls for it. And then Perry's. I love this. Perry has gotten away with it, but he just can't take it anymore. He rips off the costume.
Like, once upon a time, there was a platypus who wore a 1940s fedora.
Yep.
That's just the Aquatad.
So it's like, this is just great. Just the fact that
Dr. Wexley, you're a platypus.
The fact that he's really, dude, you saw him like a few episodes ago. You had your little therapy session where he did not have the hat on. He looks exactly the same.
It's like, yeah, that pretty much becomes a running gag throughout the show. Like it's not as often as other ones, but it does happen. Like it's like a platypus, Barry the platypus. But of course, he even tries to justify it here. So he's like, I want to say I know it was you all along, but I can't because I didn't.
I just really love the anime. I can't, Jacob. If there was one shot I wanted from the episode, but it would not have worked out of context for our purposes here. Just Doofenshmirtz, the way he's animated after he says "Barry the platypus," after he's all heartbroken. The heartbroken Doofenshmirtz. His eyes are big and watery, and he's just pointing. He's animated to look all cutesy for a second there. It's just like the betrayal. Like, you are my hero. So yeah, go on.
His hero turned out to be Perry the whole time.
So that brings us to the gritty reboot.
Yeah.
So imagine this, if you will. Imagine we set up almost kind of like we almost have kind of like not to the same degree. I'm thinking kind of like a rivalry, like in Dragon Ball with Jackie Chun and Goku during the tournament. But let's just say, for argument's sake here, what if for years Doofenshmirtz had looked up to the scientist, and in reality it was a long-term goal. The long-term goal. I just now saw the thing.
Okay, I just changed it.
What if it was just all part of like a long con for Doofenshmirtz the Alka set up, in which Perry the Platypus would pretend to be his hero? It was like a deep cover operation. So when Doofenshmirtz finds out, he's so conflicted. Folks, I'm saying we go the full reverse Flash here, man, from the Flash TV show. As in, we have the whole thing of like the mentor and father figure to Doofenshmirtz. Like, he would have this whole orchestrated thing where he have like all these audio clips that would say inspirational things that'd be an equivalent to "Run, Barry, run." In this case, Doof. Heinz Doof.
Who's the villain now, Doof?
But the platypus, he lied to me for many years.
Like, wait. Well, sure he did.
So just doing that. Just imagine that whole this ridiculous thing where he's all crestfallen. And he finds out that, well, I was really upset, but you were really there for me, and you did kind of inspire me to do a lot of evil things, but that kind of creates a lot of problems for you ultimately. So I guess we're even, Steven. Are we? Okay?
Even Steve.
Even Steven. I guess maybe just keep on going. Yeah, so maybe not super gritty, but, gritty-ish.
It
Okay.
works. So it all works out.
It all works out. So, they get into a fight at the at the Evil Weapons Expo section.
Yeah, they get in their giant robots. And,
Jacob, why don't you tell them the form of these giant robots?
well, the one Perry crawls into is in the shape of a giant dragon piloted through its mouth,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is a giant Queen Elizabeth I,
Yes.
which Doofenshmirtz initially climbs into.
And then I love he climbed into it without even looking, and he realizes, wait a minute, it's a queen? No, come on, switch back with me, please. No, they say switch, and then he realizes just the fact that I didn't know she had laser eyes. I want to switch back.
Yep, and then he starts getting the stuffing beat out of him. It's like wait, and then laser eyes. Like, yours may have laser eyes, but mine breathes fire.
Of course, it just comes right out the mouth in the cockpit, which is just this idiotic design flaw that just burns him. I love that if you're smart enough, you're going to realize, wait a minute, if he's in the mouth of the dragon, and the dragon is going to shoot a projectile of any kind that a dragon most typically does, which is through the mouth, occasionally through the nose, but very often, if not always, through the mouth, that's going to be a problem.
I love how he just screams for like 10 seconds while he's on fire. And
It's
then
extremely painful.
And then he's like, and then once it goes, that was a stupid design.
just great. So of course our link up there being
That was one of my choices for the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I was joking when I said that, but still, that would have been great. That's why I like my favorite part of the Doofenshmirtz part of the episode. Anyway. So do you want to talk about the jousting tournament then?
All right.
Or do you want to do something?
So,
it's like earlier, sorry, go on.
So we have our link fighting, and anyway, the dragon ends up careening after.
Yeah, I think you cut out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you cut out a little bit. But I guess you're talking about the dragon.
Jacob, I gotta be honest, I cut out a little.
Wait, what?
Yes, the dragon. Yes.
I said I was sorry. I didn't hear you. I think you were cutting out.
Okay, Jacob. I think you're having some tech. Yes, I know, folks. We're having some technical difficulties tonight. I've tried. I think I know the source of it. I've tried signaling said source, but that source is not checking their messages. So anyway.
All right. Doofenshmirtz.
Okay, anyway, so
designer.
Doofenshmirtz faulty designer.
Yes. Unfortunately, we don't get a jingle.
So something really funny too was with the design. Yeah, did we get one in the next one either?
Yes, we did.
Okay, good. Anyway, let's see. So we had our link up with the Renaissance Fair thing, which they're fighting in that dragon. I love that when Doofenshmirtz ejects from the self-destructing dragon, he hits the. I love that it does not come with a parachute. You have to grab the parachute before you're ejected. It's not all in one. I love there's so many design flaws.
Now you tell me. Oh god.
So the dragon ends up blowing Candace into the tower.
Oh, that happened. Well, at that point, she was, dude. Yeah, we haven't explained how we got to that point yet.
Yeah, so Candace, just because Candace couldn't wait and literally play her role of like, I'm gonna wait in the tower, being a damsel in distress, she had to, for some reason, I'm locked out. I have to bust down this door because they're eventually gonna have to get me anyway. No, I gotta bust down this door, and she ends up in the night costume, being put through all the trials.
Yep. Like at first, Phineas and Ferb think it's actually her. Think it's actually Charles who went to put on his armor. And check out the boys in their armor. Like Phineas is wearing the top half, and Ferb, due to his long wiggly legs, is wearing the bottom half. Which Phineas even points out, there's something almost disturbing about this. It's like, if you look at it, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it?
Not really. It's just kind of the old cartoon logic of kind of the two kids stacked on each other. But yeah, you're right. It does not make any sense when they're doing the jousting. Jousting, yes.
Yeah, like I said, it's a cartoon, so it doesn't really matter that much, really. But it's and even when they somehow put it on sideways, like you think they would notice. And of course, like Perry and Doofenshmirtz's fight continues. It's like, you gotta love the nonchalant newsman. It's like just in a giant mechanical, Queen Elizabeth I and a dragon are rampaging through the country, engaged in an apparent duel to the death.
The English are not as gloom and doom as we are stateside.
It's like, and another news, a new version of Jane Eyre is in the offing.
The Jane Eyre running gag was really funny.
It's like, and then it's like, good heavens, look at that! They're making a new version of Jane Eyre. Then, of course, we have the intersection where the Black Knight being chased by the Hounds of Heck. Of course, they can't say Hounds of Hell for obvious reasons. Chases into the dragon as it self-destructs, and it launches Candace's out of the armor, back down the tower, and into Charles's arms. We don't see what happens to Doofenshmirtz after he lands, but it can assume his landing is probably extremely painful. But he's probably fine.
Yeah, the only thing that's really going to kill him is the flight back.
Yeah. Getting through the TSA will be murder.
Especially with all the evil weapons he bought at the EvilCon.
Yep.
It's just a flamethrower. Like, chill out, man.
Yeah, I think you can put those in. You can probably put that in your suitcase, in your actual suitcase, without having to go through the TSA. I think they'd more have a problem with like some of the small carry-on stuff that he got there.
Right.
All right, I think that's enough for that. Anything interesting around here? I hear there's a new version of Jane Eyre in the open. You always got to get Ferb's line in there.
Yep.
Unless it's unless there's an episode where he doesn't speak. Speaking of which, the next episode is Brobot.
Yeah.
So how are you coming down on this one?
I really like that Brobot.
You really like that Brobot?
I really liked it, but I will admit it does signify a recurring thing that has happened with half the episodes of Phineas and Ferb, in which it's again, we sometimes are going to hit these episodes where it feels like the division of screen time between episodes may have been askew, which it's like this is kind of like we ran out of time episode. That's good. This one's pretty straightforward to the point. There's not a lot going on. It wraps up really quickly. It's not bad at all. It's a nice and simple idea, but it definitely feels like it's kind of let's fill the rest of the time of our 2-part episode thing. It feels like all the effort really went into a hard day's night, and our hard day's night maybe skimped out a little bit on the Phineas and Ferb story, but we made up for it here. So it feels like they're trying to balance the two out in a sense.
Yeah, I can see what you mean with that. Yeah. All right. Considering the background of this, Martin Olson was the sole story writer for this episode. Storyboards are Kent Osborne and Aliki Theophilopoulos, and Dan directed the episode once again. So yeah, Brobot. I mean, the boys come across the classic summertime dilemma of just trying to decide what to do. There's only so much stuff they can do in so little time. And now which is kind of funny to think about. Like I said, they're now getting 2 more seasons to do stuff.
Okay, are you ready for fan theory time?
Fan theory time.
Okay. So, not a dark fan theory, just an average fan theory. Okay. Here's the fan theory. Phineas and Ferb, off-screen, off-episode, they built a device after this episode that extends the summer vacation, which is why it goes on for so long in the series.
That would be an interesting theory, but the summer eventually does end. So,
Well, really, it does. It ends at the last episode.
yeah, the last episode is literally called "The Last Day of Summer."
Well, maybe they could have just. Well, Jacob, the theory could still persist because a lot of time passed beyond the number of days in the summer. What I'm saying is perhaps they ethically realized off screen as well, we should turn off the machine. We got to
Maybe,
do this honest.
maybe that is true. Perhaps.
Yeah, there you go. There's a lost episode. For the lost episode of Phineas and Ferb. Povenmire, make it happen.
Well, it is confirmed that Swampy's coming back too, so which is
Yeah.
nice. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it was kind of a given, considering I don't think they'd do this show without Swampy.
Jeff, wake up. We have more show to do. Is it time? Can we do it? Yes. Marsh, do it.
It's time.
Swampy.
It's time.
Yep.
All right. It's like so. Like they do have several things. So like they don't really try to extend summer in any way. At least not that we've seen. So it is an interesting theory, though. And the fact that it goes on for more than 104 days is brought up. It's like one of the episodes. Like, you're right, Ferb. It does feel like more than 104 days. So they were well aware of that. So with not enough time to do anything, they decide to instead build robot duplicates of themselves to get to do these projects for them. So what do you make of that idea? Like building robots?
Well, I mean, it makes sense if they want to get multiple things done, and if you're going to build something, it's basically. I like the half-baked idea of like we want to get all this stuff done, so we're going to make more of ourselves before they realize they've robbed themselves of the experience building it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a classic, Aesop and all that, or classic moral and all that. But it's one that kind of works within context. They won't extend any timelines for at least another season.
And Aesop's field play.
What was that?
Yeah.
All right.
So they had a lot of really. Of course, they named off a bunch of really cool. They named off a bunch of really cool ideas and invention.
Yep, they did. It's like, let's see, like something like the miniatures do that rest on the head of a pin, like the invisible chamber, and the hold of the center of the earth. All of them seemed like they were pretty cool inventions to try. Unfortunately, they don't get episodes of their own, but we do get to see their results. So, all right.
Yes. I mean, my favorite probably being the. I love the hovercraft, the lounge chair.
Yeah, which they're planning on building next week.
Which is even better.
I mean, I would personally like one of those myself. Just it's like, hey, I can go around I can float around on a lawn chair, not have to do anything. And it's the best way to get around. It's the best way to get around.
Also, based in real life, technically, there was a guy who had the lawn chair with all the balloons on it.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't a hovercraft, so it wasn't as cool, but
Yeah. I mean, but balloons are a step in the right direction.
Yep.
I mean, we can't all be Carl Fredricksen.
No, we can't. Every real estate agent's worst nightmare.
Just floating balloons.
Floating houses.
Yes. Maybe there's an invisible chamber up, so we just can't see it.
That's a good point.
Yes.
All right,
yes,
so let's talk about the Findroids and the Furbots.
Finadroids and Furbots.
Finadroids and Furbots.
Yes. Basically, they activate this computer program, and what happens is we see this big device, and then they just pop out of the little cupboard next to it.
that was really funny to me. It's the fact that we have this oh yeah, that was like the old model. Thank goodness that old dinosaur. So thank goodness but honestly, it's an animation cheat, and I love how they called it out. Just the fact they didn't want to show each individual part being built, so all they wanted to do is yeah, we're just gonna have him walk out all fully formed and everything will be fine.
And that's why that these guys could totally do something like that and get away with it.
Oh, for sure. I love the design of the robots too. It's the androids. So the fact that we have the cone noses on Phineas's Finadroids, and we have the little tin can noses on the Furbots.
I just love and the light bulbs for eyes and everything. I love those.
Yep. They're doing the robot dance and everything.
Speaking of which, the song, Finadroids and Furbots and all that. The song is actually performed by Aaron Jacob, who's actually the son of Danny Jacob, and Martin Olson also provided the voice of the Furbots and the Finadroids and Furbots. Bobby Gaylor, Swampy, Martin, and Den wrote, and Aliki Theophilopoulos wrote the song. And also there's an extended version available on the show's first album. It adds an extra verse.
Cool.
So, all
right. So let's see. So of course, well, we'll save it for when Candace enters the episode. Let's dip away from Candace for a second here. Let's talk about. Let's talk about that. This is probably the most unique entrance that Perry Platypus has to the to the lair.
So far, it's he enters via the chimney, the chimney Vader.
Then who's there?
No one who should walk in but Santa Claus.
So this is just delightful and absurd, and my favorite game. I think my favorite joke, possibly Perry the Platypus up to this point. I don't know. There's a lot of good ones. This one just cracks me. It's the fact that Perry the Platypus, without saying a word, conveys this hysterical moment. It's when he points so innocently, like a child, practically just points but Santa, was it Santa? It's just. It's the fact, Monogram saying he's been calling someone 57 times, and he points to the elevator. No, it's not Santa. That guy owes me a pony.
Besides, that guy, that's why I hate using the chimney Vader. Besides, that guy's he mentions Carl again, which unfortunately we don't actually see him this time. It's that guy totally owes me a pony from when I was 5. And considering how old Monogram looks, that's probably a long time to hold a grudge.
For sure. Could be a disguise, though.
Yeah, could be.
He is a spy.
Yeah, but that's what he looks like all the time. I mean, he used to have actually in his younger days. We actually see him having a black hair and mustache. So
there you go.
So it's clear that it came with age.
It's a grudge. It's been a long time coming. This grudge.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. Let's talk about Doofenshmirtz's plan, or more so, lack thereof. Let's talk.
And we actually did get a jingle this time.
Hit him with the jingle.
Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
That's interesting. Were we even in the building?
Yes.
You sure we were?
Yeah, that's where remember, Perry uses a key to get in.
Well, I know that, but I mean, don't you think didn't it look more like his apartment? But it's inside the building.
Doofenshmirtz basically lives at the building.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure of. Okay, let's do it again. So we go to Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
Santa literally scanned Monogram out of the pony. I'd hold the grudge too.
It's you know how many times I've sent that platypus to save the world, and Santa can't even give me a pony? It's time to pony up, fat man. I mean, literally, you got to pony up right now.
It's kind of funny that Dan actually provided the voice of Santa in this episode.
Huh. It's a little, that's a bit of an ego move, don't you think?
Maybe. And maybe that's why he didn't voice him in the actual Christmas special. I mean, you've actually seen the Christmas specials.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
He was actually voiced by Clancy Brown there.
I know. That's why I was... yeah.
Like Clancy Brown actually appears in this show a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, these days, Clancy Brown actually looks like Santa ever since he grew that big beard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good beard. It's a good-looking beard.
He's had that beard for a while, but not forever. I wonder when he grew that beard.
No idea.
All right.
But yeah, Perry actually uses a key to get into the building.
Okay, so the key gag is just so funny to me. It's the idea that, like, he knows that Perry Plaza is going to come in foil. It's like, just take a key. Just stop breaking my roof and everything. Just stop crashing through things.
It's like, it's much more civilized than crashing through my ceiling, wouldn't you say?
I love it. I love it so much, and I love that Doofenshmirtz is so wise to the formula at this point. He says, like, I know you've been sent here to see what I'm up to, but I'm not up to anything.
And but the only thing he's been doing is just leaving a bunch of phone calls to his new girlfriend, voicemails to his new girlfriend.
Okay, this is what cracks me with Doofenshmirtz's lack of plot. Okay,
Yeah.
I love the fact it's kind of a combination. It's kind of a combination of Breaking Bad and Seinfeld. It's like he's gonna use a giant magnet to erase a tape, which is like the giant magnet being Breaking Bad, season 5, and the sign. Look, obviously, this is way before Breaking Bad. I'm just saying it's indicative of like the giant magnet gag from Breaking Bad. But the point being, we have a giant magnet. Then we have the actual Seinfeld pool. It may legitimately be a Seinfeld pool, by the way. So the idea of like he's gonna Seinfeld, this episode of George Costanza had this whole almost Ocean's 11 heist of stealing a girl's tape from the answering machine. But now this makes me want to look it up. I got to be honest. There is that episode of Hey Arnold where Helga, retrieves that tape from Arnold's answering machine.
Like, I don't remember. I don't know if I've seen that episode.
Really? Go on. You've had to have seen that episode, man.
I most likely did. I just don't remember it. If I had a
There you go.
nickel for every time Doofy used a giant magnet,
Yep.
like Vince
This
Gilligan,
is like this. Yeah.
Vince Gilligan ripped off Phineas and Ferb with that one. Outrageous.
Well, Vince Gilligan, as everyone at Craft Service will tell you, has good taste.
Yes, he does.
He's always on set with a sandwich.
Yep, I don't remember that episode of Hey Arnold. Maybe I did see it.
Oh yeah, it's early on. So it's in one of the first two. It's I think it's in the second season. It's in one of the first 2 seasons.
I'm more familiar with the first season, to be honest.
Anyways, it's probably the second season, to be frank.
And honestly, with Helga, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so she stole basically she was on laughing gas at the dentist's office and left a message on Arnold's machine, basically confessing her love for him. So she had to break in and get the tape.
Yeah, the classic. Yeah, she loves him, but doesn't want to admit to him that she loves him. Classic. And I wonder if Dan did that. Did Dan do that one, or did somebody else do that one?
Yeah.
Did he? I don't know. Anyway,
That's what I don't know.
All right. But anyway, enough with Vince Gilligan ripping things off.
Okay.
She's like, too bad you don't believe in love, Perry the Platypus. Too bad.
Aquatad is absolutely right.
Oh God.
Dude, Aquatad's absolutely right. It's not the first time Doofenshmirtz used the giant magnet in his plots. Like we used it with the giant with oil thing. The aluminum siding, I should say.
Not the aluminum. Actually, not the aluminum. Yes, the very first episode, the very first plot he did was the magnet with the sea, covering the eastern seaboard with tin foil. God. And he traps Perry in a net, saying like, "You don't believe in love, Perry the Platypus. Too bad."
I love that. I love that Doofenshmirtz is like he's not necessarily being evil, but he is being very deluded, and
leaving 57 messages on for your girlfriend's answering machine is a bit much.
It is a bit much, but you kind of get it, don't you? You kind of get like, you need the confirmation. It's going to eat away at you, but calling 57 times it's not great.
I mean, I could totally vouch for the whole needing confirmation thing.
Yeah.
I think if any of us have, I think anybody with love lives can or attempting to get a love life can confirm that.
Anyone.
But basically, 57 times is a bit much.
Well, you know what? Just to put it out there, ladies or gentlemen, whoever you may be, if you're in the position of ending the thing or severing the contact, at the very least, when you do that, you should say, "I don't think we should chat anymore." you say, I'm cutting the cord on this or something. I mean, you know what? If you want to be the bad guy, you got to own up to being the bad guy. Or if you want to just go separate ways, you got to pony up and say, you know what, we're not doing this.
Well, we don't really know what happened, but just Doofenshmirtz just wanted to get rid of it.
I like to think it was like an amicable thing of like, Doofenshmirtz, you're kind of doing the evil bad guy thing. I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Doof's love life is a bit of a mess.
Jacob,
yeah,
will it ever work out for him?
Almost.
Oh,
let's just say at one point it does come.
Right.
It does come close.
Okay.
I appreciate the romantic advice.
There you go.
Like, don't count on us for romantic advice. Or at least don't count on me for romantic advice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So basically, Candace is talking to Stacy, who's going to get her ear pierced, most likely against her mom's wishes. Is left in charge again. I think Linda would learn. But when she went to get the pictures, he's going to say, "Oh, here comes Phineas." And Phineas? She discovers the Brobots. Which is quite a funny thing to see. It's like basically her losing her mind at seeing various robotic duplicates of her brothers.
Okay, this is where we get into the gritty reboot.
Oh boy.
So, on a serious, the serious note is the fact that Candace of all the times that she's seen Phineas and Ferb, the fact that she's seeing them like multiple times in robotic form is already just a really funny idea. The fact she's been stymied so many times just by two of them, it's driving her to the brink of madness. So she goes to a never pre-established panic room, which is even better. Is the fact this is so detrimental to her, and this brings about a gritty reboot idea that's actually not that far off the mark. What if Candace actually went full on bonkers mad here, where it's like, oh god, it's the end times, and she locked herself in that panic room and just utterly just went cuckoo bananas, as we kind of teased up here. I'm saying it's like they're everywhere. Or she starts to think after the adventure is done, let's say she didn't come out of it. Okay, let's say she went back up and like, they're not real, Mom. They're not real. They're robots. And she like attacks them, and then that gets Candace hauled away in the white straitjacket. That's what does her in. Like, they're robots, I tell you, they're robots. And Phineas and Ferb just won't fess up to. Well, we don't know what she's talking about. And it's like, you pointy nose mother.
And she ends up attacking the real ones.
That's what I'm saying. She attacks the real ones, and then she's like hauled away for that, and then the boys just won't fess up to the fact that they actually built the robots.
Oh god!
It's like, you set me up, Phineas. You set me up.
You really want to have Candace committed, I've noticed.
I mean, I'm not the only one, man. Honestly, as gritty as I am making it, I mean, at some point, Candace, she would have had to have been put away at some point in this show. Even as a gag, she had to have been put in the loony bin at least once, which shocks me that it seems like that has not been the case.
No, not yet.
So that's a legit pitch, is that we got to at least have her committed once to address, like, yeah, Linda's a little worried about her daughter.
Like, remember in the very first episode in Roller Coaster, she's like, I worry about you sometimes, Candace.
There you go. Just take that, bring it to the logical conclusion.
Oh god!
It's a Michigan J. Frog thing at the end. Like, I believe the guy who had the Michigan J. Frog, he was he was committed, wasn't he? Or he was in jail. Well, I think he was committed.
I thought he just like wound up homeless or something.
I don't
honestly remember. It's been a while since I've seen One Froggy Evening.
Right.
I mean, I wish I knew, because that's a great short. One of the best.
Sure.
One of their best, honestly.
Yep.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
Yeah, we're gonna check in on the Gritty Reboot one last time towards the end of the episode.
All right, and I'll bring. So after fleeing to the panic room, and remember, Doofenshmirtz gets one in Night of Living Pharmacist, instead it's called the Startle Space.
It's a nicer name.
Yeah, it's like, because only because the whole panic room wasn't in the budget.
God.
Anyway, it's like, so after going to the panic room, Candace actually does come up with a pretty clever idea of capturing one of the Brobots. Specifically, she lets out a can of oil and captures a Furbot, which is pretty nice.
But it doesn't last. And honestly, you gotta be honest. She brought ruin upon herself here. It's like a very simple because she's gabbing on the phone to Stacy about the ear piercing, and she doesn't at all. Here's it's a cartoon logic thing of like, there's a label on the bag. If she just looked, didn't even have to open the bag. If she just looked at the bag, just once, that's all of that is completely on her right there.
Yeah, like as you said, it's like a logic. It's a cartoon logic thing.
Well, she's like one horrible accent away from being Biff Tannen right now. Is the fact that it's like manure was her undoing. Just Candace at the end of the episode saying, "I hate manure."
And we hear Stacy's name in the last name in this episode. Her last name is Hirano.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's like poor mixed up Stacy. Yeah, it's like manure was her undoing, and she doesn't even notice it. You think she also noticed the texture difference between a robot and some fertilizer, but alas.
She ain't too bright, I'm afraid.
Not in this case. Her busting senses were not finely tuned this time.
No, they were not.
So, and we come back to Perry, who escapes the net by just spraying cheese on the net and having a mouse chew through it. Which is one of the more mundane things that Perry does to escape. Just spray cheese. So, and of course we come back to what you mentioned earlier with the Phineas and Ferb, like really seeing what the other bots have done. You're like, man, that must have been fun, and realizing they were robbed of the experiences of building them. Like, unfortunately, we never see more of like the hold at the center. They must have filled it up pretty quickly.
Yep.
All right. They've run out of things to design, and they're making their own ideas. Have we learned nothing from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
They've learned one thing: the Frankenstein's brain
it's over here. The robots even build their own coffee franchise. It's so 90s. Anyway. And of course we get a return of Doofenshmirtz, and he's singing Gitchy Gitchy Goo on the radio. And he seems into it. He's like, how'd you get out? It was the mouse, wasn't it? It's like, apparently that mouse seems to have been causing Doofenshmirtz some problems.
Yep.
So I was like, and of course he's not getting out of the way.
So what's great is the undoing of
Doofenshmirtz's plan.
Yes, the Doofenshmirtz's undoing is hilarious because he's about to crush Perry Platypus, and Santa saves him. It's attracting the giant magnet. It's not even. It's July. It's not Christmas.
It's like, I'm doing a summer
Doofenshmirtz calling out the logic. Love it. Just love Doofenshmirtz getting upset. Like, wait a minute. Hey, it's July.
I'm doing a summer run. Humbug.
Bah humbug.
The mouse is probably affiliated with Alka. Awkward Ted.
Most likely.
There's not any mouse agents yet.
It's the second time a mouse has been the undoing to Doofenshmirtz's plans. Thank goodness it was not as terrible as the last time a mouse undid his plans and undid other things.
Well, this time it just set him free. The last time it went into his pants.
That's what I'm saying. It was a fate worse than death. He went the full Richard Gere, man. That's terrible.
Oh God, just the images.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you saw there was no waistband there, man. That cheese went down there.
Oh God.
Horrific. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Not just the fact that mouse leaped there, and you saw the screams of horror and pain that Doofenshmirtz let out in that episode. So early on, mind you. was just that's nightmare fuel in itself. That's a great reboot without even needing to do a great reboot. That's not the one I was referring to. I'm just saying that's still it's pretty bad.
Oh God.
Marsh, Swampy, you're a sick puppy.
Oh, these guys. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like of course the Santa sleigh with the magnet goes over the
All the
house.
robots and they get sucked up.
Yep.
Kind of Spy Kids 2 style.
Yep, and of course, like, Mom, look, there are Phineas and Ferb robots in the backyard.
They're dancing, doing the robot.
Yeah, but that's basically how Phineas and Ferb avoid the robots turning on them. Just have a dance party.
Yeah, little dance off.
Yep, that's how they get them on their side and away from whatever the robots were going to do to them.
Yep. Oh, of course. I mean, you already mentioned it, Jacob. But just the of all of the original plans, just the fact that so I'm trying to get the name right here. The I'm trying to think of. Oh, okay. The robot bean and tea leaf. Beverage stand. That's just great.
Yep, and apparently one of the robots had drank so much of it that it was having trouble falling asleep.
Oh, poor little guy. He can't get any sleep.
And Phineas shutting it down is what caused the robots to turn on them in the first place.
Yep, he took the coffee away from the robots. Folks, listen to me. Never take the coffee away from the robots. Even if they don't drink coffee, don't take it away from them.
It might be profitable, but it's just not worth it.
You don't want to see C-3PO snap when he doesn't get his ice mocha.
I mean, C-3PO is already high-strung enough as it is. I don't think he needs any more caffeine.
I'm just saying, it's going to be like that movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas. It's going to be C-3PO goes in there. He doesn't get his caffeine fix, and he's going to pull out a blaster and basically school everyone on what the proper etiquette is of you do serve droids here, and here's why.
Here's a protocol for you.
Death. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, look who shot first. Me, C-3PO. Isn't that right, R2? Shut up. Shut up and let me do this, R2. I'm sorry I spoke so harshly to you, R2. It's been a very stressful day. I don't have my coffee. It's not great.
Like I said, I honestly don't think 3PO needs any more caffeine. He's already high-strung enough.
That's what I'm saying. Then you have R2-D2 be like... R2 just being very anti-establishment. He would just be like, basically had like a time bomb with him, waiting to go off.
That just reminds me of the Lego Star Wars games where you could just like randomly explode R2-D2.
God.
Did you play those?
No.
Like, yeah, one of the things you could do is like a robot is self-destruct.
So kamikaze R2-D2.
Kind of, yeah.
Is it actually R2-D2 or is it just an astromech?
I mean, basically any of the astromechs, I believe.
Okay, so basically it's a kamikaze astromech. That's a sadistic idea when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, sometimes you could, like, I used to play that with one of my friends, and we just used to just keep doing it over and over, just because it was so funny, just to have R2-D2 blow up and scream.
Imagine like a Suicide Squad of astromechs that are all like worried someone's going to push the button.
Oh God.
What was that, R2-D2? You back talking me? Huh?
I mean, funnily enough, we do see R2-D2 in this show. Because remember, they did do a Star Wars crossover.
Yeah.
So I was like, that'll be fun to talk about when we get to that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a long way.
All the way in season 4.
All right.
And after the Marvel special.
Oh, I feel we're gonna get there.
Yeah, I know. It's like, just remember, hold your judgment until you actually see the episode.
Oh, I know. I'm going to hold judgment, but we'll see.
I already know the complaints you have.
Yeah.
But it's so funny to watch so funny to watch R2-D2 blow up and scream, going to interesting places. Yes, it is. But that then brings us to the stinger of the episode, which Mom does come back with the pictures, and how Phineas and Ferb actually built the robots in the first place is scanning their pictures in.
A photo of Candace blows into the garage.
And it creates the Candroid.
Yep, and Candace sees it, freaks out, heads to the panic room, and that's where we enter the gritty reboot.
Yeah, the gritty reboot.
Yep. So the Candroid does not sees Candace as a threat, and basically replaces her.
And
Rest of the series, it's Candace, but it's just very obviously not Candace. It's a robot. It's playing pre-recorded Candace lines,
oh god.
which are all the same lines. The whole "You're so busted, you're going down, 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 Jeremy." So those three lines just over and over again.
Oh god.
Yep,
And
and then the
nobody.
boys are like, "Does something seem off with Candace?" And like she'd actually be almost effective at finding, but then something would go haywire in her programming. Like when Jeremy would walk by, she'd short circuit, and that's what would be her undoing. So just the fact that, but again, seriously though, on the gritty note, you can Candace, she's buried in the basement. She's buried in the panic room that Linda never believed was actually there. So she'll never know what happened to Candace.
Oh god.
Yep,
Gritty reboots, everyone.
yep.
Like, I love how the main cast is slowly getting removed in the reboot.
Okay, now here's where things get really clever with the gritty reboot. Okay,
Oh, okay. Oh, wait.
with what happened with the Candroid literally rebooted Candace, and that's how a lot of it happened. So the reboot is kind of like if it's worked into the title, it'll be like we're rebooting and replacing all these characters. We're doing the cloning thing with Perry. We're doing the robot kind of assimilation with Candace.
Reboot and replace.
Yep, that's the thing. Like the Phineas and Ferb show, you knew it's going to be either turned on its head or replaced
Oh god.
with murder. It's going to be replaced with murder and psychological intrigue. See, the first arc, the first season of the reboot, the first arc maybe is Candace getting committed. Then she's going to come out, and then we do the robot thing. That's how we keep folks interested. And then we're going to do the replacement. So we have like there's the arc with Candace, and then we're going to bring her back from the dead. And that'll be how she does the ultimate return, like a death and return of Superman sort of affair.
Meanwhile, in this gritty reboot, Jeremy's just living his life.
Well, so far, I mean, you don't know the anguish that Jeremy's going through right now. Jeremy fell in love. It's going to be kind of soap opera. Jeremy with the Android. He actually confessed to a wonderful date,
Oh,
and also
god.
just a very poorly made Android. It's not Candace.
It's just kind of funny how nobody notices that she's a robot.
Himbo in the reboot. Like, she does.
Oh,
Exactly.
it's oh god.
Let's just
These
say in
reboots.
the gritty reboot, and they still not notice when things get to say heavy metal.
This gritty reboot's getting crazier and crazier all the time.
Yeah.
Like we're building, as LEB would say, we're building the wall.
Oh yeah, we just scratched the surface, buddy.
Well.
Oh yeah.
Well, good. Let's see what kind of lore we come up with next week. Well, thank you all for joining us. This has been the 10th episode of episode, so we've kind of hit almost a minor milestone in the length of the whole show. This is the 10th episode. So thank you guys for tuning in, and any closing statements, Dragon?
Beware your family members, your loved ones being replaced or duplicated with robots, and don't call people 57 times.
That's perfect advice. So join us next week on the Phineas and Ferb Recap-inator, where we celebrate Linda's birthday. Doofenshmirtz shrinks things down. Phineas and Ferb build a submarine, and Doofenshmirtz wants people to make up their minds. Can't wait to find out the results of Stacy's ear piercing. She lost an ear. The end. There's irreparable ear damage. The end.
No, Stacy actually went deaf.
And deaf in one ear anyway.
Yeah, she can't. Yeah, she can't hear the one ear.
Yeah, but she can still hear just fine out of the other one.
Yep.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Jane Eyre, reboot it next.
Reboot. The gritty reboot brought to you by Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.